Whatever life storm hit you in your life and in your business, it probably left you feeling less confident in your abilities to grow your business. And it probably also left you with a sense of urgency that now you need to catch up and recover all the time that you couldn't devote into growing your business and your project. So, how do you regain that self-confidence that allows you to move forward and to achieve those goals? What if there was a path of least resistance that allowed you to do it in less time and to do it in a more fulfilling way? Hi, this is Charo, your host of Thriving After Life Storms interview series. And if this topic resonates with you, please stay tuned because that's exactly what our guest today is going to talk about. See you in a minute. Hey, this is Charo, and you're listening to Thriving After Life Storms. Hi, Charo again. And this time I have a very special guest. She's, well, an expert in reinvention, even though I know she wouldn't call herself that. But she has reinvented her career several times. She has reinvented her relationships. And she has moved to a totally different country. So talk about reinvention. Welcome, Liesel. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you for the invitation, Chara. It's a privilege.
Well, first of all, let me read your bio because otherwise I'll just skip it and that's not a good thing. So here I have your bio. So Liesel supports sensitive souls to build quiet confidence. She helps them to work through the blocks and fears that stop them and find and embrace their true authentic strengths. Really short and really sweet. Thank you, Liesel. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chara.
Well, to start this conversation about reinvention after a life storm, I really want to start reading a quote from your website. Curious about which quote I have chosen?
Yes, I'm very, very curious.
Well, you say, if you feel drained, exhausted, unfulfilled, discovering your strengths can be a life-changing thing. So before we get into the topic fully and dive into this quote, please, why don't you share with us what's the definition of strength so we can be all on the same page, so to speak?
That's a really good place to start, Chara. So I'm going to draw a little bit of a distinction between talents and strengths, right? So before we get to strengths, there's talents. So talents are what we call natural areas or natural patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. It's the way we naturally think, feel, and behave. And for each of them, or for each of us, we have different areas of natural thinking, feeling, and behaving, right? So those are our areas of greatest potential to grow because it's already natural for our brain to work in that way, in these specific ways. So when we talk about strengths, a strength is something we've taken a natural talent, which is thinking, feeling, and behaving, and we've added something like skills and practice, experience, lots of expertise, the like mastery. We talk about the 10,000 hours. We've added some effort and energy that we've added to the natural talent. And we've created it into a strength because of the practices we've been doing in that area. So does that make sense to you?
Yes. Let me recap to see if I've got
Good.
it perfectly. So we have natural talents, natural tendencies, natural ways of behaving, thinking, and acting in the world. And if we put some skills, some time, some training to develop them, we can grow them into strengths. Is that
Yes,
correct?
absolutely. And I'm going to add one little bit is if we manage them well, they can become a strength.
Oh, that's important.
Yes. If we mismanage these areas of natural talent, they can become a detriment. And to
Oh,
be practical, would it help if I give you an example?
yes, yes.
So for me, I've got the natural talent of empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Empathy means I can really put myself in the shoes of another human being and almost experience the feelings, or I'm very strongly connected to the emotions of other people, and it
Uh-huh.
affects me. If I mismanage the talent of empathy, I will become like a bleeding heart and almost hide in my house because it's too hard to live with everybody else's feelings around me, especially in the times that we're living. That's
Mm-hmm.
mismanagement. Then it becomes a detriment to me and I can't be of any help to other people. So then it's not a strength. It's
Uh-huh.
a talent. It's a potential area of growth, but I haven't grown it yet. So because I added the skill of EFT, emotional freedom techniques, that I can
Mm-hmm.
now really use this talent of mine productively, it has turned into a strength for me.
Okay. Well, that's clear, really clear. And coming back to your quote, why do you say it's life-changing to know our strengths?
Yeah, it was life changing for me, and I've seen it for other people as well. Is it really gave me a massive amount of relief
Ooh.
and confidence, and
Mhm.
the sense that, oh my goodness, it really is okay to just be me, because I am absolutely, definitely 100% different from everybody else. I'm unique. I've got a mixture of strengths that not many other people have. And because of my skill sets, my things that I've practiced in my life, it becomes so unique that nobody else can offer that to the world. And
Mm.
it's that kind of knowledge that strengths can give to us to say, oh my goodness, I can stop the comparison game. I can just be myself, and what I have and what I bring is good enough.
Mm. So deep and so important, and so key to somebody who's gone through some kind of life storm, as I call them, and now needs to rebuild and maybe even reinvent themselves, reinvent the business to know what what do I bring naturally, because that's who I am. That increases the confidence, which in my experience really, really takes a dive when we go through something like that. And it's good to recover that. And I've also gotten from what you said that we have a mixed like a different a bag of different strengths. It's not just that we have one strength, but we have more if we have developed those natural talents, right? I got that right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so my next question, let me be a little bit curious about your life. How did you mm, get involved with strengths? Was it one of your reinvention times that brought you to study strengths more deeply?
Interesting question. Actually, it wasn't a reinvention time, but the discovery of strengths helped me to reinvent my business a little bit, or
Oh.
reinvent how I see the world. So I got to know about strengths through a friend of mine who was going through a reinvention process herself. And she found out about strengths. She's a coach, and she did my strengths with me as she was going through the learning process. And Chara, that opened my eyes to a completely different world, which means it sort of brought me to a bit of a standstill. Like, oh my goodness, I'd been focusing with my previous work on how do we fix problems. And here came strength, and it gave me a completely different view. And it said, actually, there's so much right with us already. There's a huge amount that's right with people already, not wrong, but right.
Mhm,
And if we focus there, it's the areas of our biggest joy, enjoyment, freedom, energy, all of that. So
mhm,
it led me to reinvent my business because I had this extra knowledge suddenly that changed my viewpoint.
mhm. I'll get more into that a little bit later. Now I want to ask you, can you give us some signs? How can we know that we're not playing to our strengths and that we are kind of going against them or ignoring them. Or like you said, in your situation, you just suddenly discover your strengths, and it was like, ooh, and now I need to reshift everything. So how can we know that we're not playing to our strengths? Any kind of signs you can give us?
Yes, there's definitely some clear signs, Jara, and that's a great question for everybody to consider. Is if we actually, I'm going to start out this way. If we look at what are the signs of a strength, then we can see what is the opposite of that, and what is the opposite that, what is the signs that you're not playing to your strength. So signs of a strength goes with the acronym SIGN, sign, right? S stands for how much success are you having in the area of whatever you try and use your strengths, like in your career, say, how much success. The I is for instinct. Like, do you feel like volunteering yourself for that task or that project, or that, how much of it flows naturally? Like, I want to do that thing. You look forward to it. Okay. The G is for growth. How much growth and how easily do you grow in your work, in your areas that you've been applying yourself to. And then the N is for it satisfies a need. Like, how satisfied do you feel afterwards? Like, how fulfilled do you feel afterwards? So now, if we swing that around and say, look for signs where you're not using your strengths, or you're going against your strengths, is what are your areas of struggle? Where does it feel like you struggle and struggle and struggle, and it's just not working, and you feel drained because it uses so much energy to try and carry on and on and on and on, right? And then you just don't have the instinct to volunteer for it. You would never do that thing out of your own steam, because it's actually not what you want to do. It's, inside it's not going to be joyful. You don't want to do it. You get anxious before the time instead of excited, like Sunday morning or Sunday evening blues, right? Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want my Monday to start because I'm gonna have to do all this stuff. And then growth, it's, you're just not growing in that area, or it's a real struggle. You can't learn in that area. And after you've done it, you go, oh, that was horrible. I never want to do it again. So those are all signs that you're not playing to your natural areas of strength. You're tired, exhausted, don't look forward to it, anxious, all those kind of signs.
Wow, and all those signs could even be, as you said before, the reason why we get into a crisis. And I talk about personal experiences. When I was working as an architect, part of my role was to, well, double check everything was built correctly. So looking at all the materials, that everything was flat and it was according to the norms, and everything was done properly, and taking care of the safety of everybody around. And it was so draining. It was so against my own natural strength that I ended up really exhausted, and physically I developed an autoimmune illness. So it's really key to pay attention to when you're doing things that just drain you so much. Like you said, like it's a struggle, it's not working, and you keep doing it and doing it, and nothing gives you the results you want, or you just don't want to do it. Feels like somebody is, come on, do it. No, please don't force me to. Or it doesn't come easily to you, and if it's not fulfilling a deep need in you, it's also not your strength. So thank you so much. I can see how that in my own life, and I'm sure people watching us will be able to join the dots now with those just tips you gave us. So thank you so much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So yeah, let me check my mind map. Otherwise, this interview could be all over the place, as my strength of ideation will make me do.
Well, beautiful. You found a way to manage that so it doesn't become a detriment, which is one of the points we made earlier, right? So beautiful.
Yeah. Let me show you. But I have a mind map. Otherwise, I will be all over the place. I need to put some structure and organize stuff, because one idea leads to another idea and leads to another idea, and it could be a mess without a logical path to it. So yes, it's something I had to do, and it was a relief to know what my strengths were. So thank you.
Beautiful.
So let's go back to somebody who's gone through a difficult time, and maybe the business had to be, left for a few months, something happened, an illness or whatever, or well, talk about crisis and change, what we've gone through, the lockdowns, who could have imagined something like that? But okay, let's put that aside. But one of the things that I definitely felt, and I've noticed other people feel too, is that sense of urgency. Like, whoa, now I need to catch up for all that time I've wasted because I couldn't do anything, or because other, the illness or the family issue kept me stuck with my business. And that sense of urgency might make people feel a bit reluctant about going into their strengths and say, hey, I don't have time to waste with that. It won't really help me to move forward faster, and there's no time now to focus on that. What would you say to somebody who's thinking that?
Well, first, of course, I would have empathy because it's one of my talents. Because yes, I can absolutely understand that the sense of urgency makes us think that we have to skip all that stuff and just, rush to the thing that we need to do right now. However, if we rush into something that's again not going to serve us, we're going to waste more time. So I would say absolutely, if you're at the point anyway of rebuilding, do it with the most amount of awareness that you can. And the awareness that the strength can give us will help us to start with a foundation that is really strong, that's going to serve us, that's going to help our energy to be sustainable. Because the strengths movement is all about sustainability, not ability. We can all learn to do certain things, but it's not going to be joyful, it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be sustainable. So if you're at the point of rebuilding anyway or starting afresh, help make that sense of urgency go, what can I find out about myself now that's going to help me build the most sustainable, most enjoyable career path for my future? And finding out your strengths is just the best thing that I know of for that.
Yeah, it might even give you some ideas of how to structure your business model starting now, so you can do the things that you do best and that really give you energy and that you can do faster, instead of focusing on things that maybe wasn't working well before because they were not your strengths. And let me read a quote by Tom Rath, the author of the strengths books and all that. He said, people have a lot more fun and get a lot more done, so talk about catching up quickly, if they're able to spend time in areas where they have some natural talent. So it's really good. It's like the saying of, I spent 4 hours sharpening my axe and then 1 hour cutting the trees, which I don't, well, it's a metaphor I don't like because I love trees. I hate anybody who does any harm to them, but it's a metaphor that helps you understand that sometimes spending a bit of time in something that doesn't seem to be giving results immediately, but it will give you results much faster. It will be much more fulfilling, and you can create something that really works for you instead of the other way around. And again, you just touched to my, former architect self with that foundation. It's true. It's the foundation upon which you can build a solid business that stands the passing of time and really protects you, and it's sustainable. So yeah, thank you for that metaphor. I really love it. Okay, really, really cool. So now I want to get more practical with this, Liesel. Excuse me. So first, how can we find our strengths? How can we do it? Any suggestions?
Yes, there's a couple of points that I want to mention is we can try and find it ourselves, right? We can go like, okay, I wonder what my strengths are. And you can come up with the things that you think are your strengths. The problem with that is that we are often the worst judges of that because our strengths are, we are like the fish in the water with our strengths. We don't know anymore that it's something special because it's so normal and natural to us. So it's not, we are not often not the best judges of our own strengths. We can ask another person, we can ask a friend or a family member, what do you think my strengths are? And they will often come up with really good things that we may not have considered because we're so used to our strengths. We don't think that they're special anymore. So it's really good to get input from other people. But often other people confuse what we're good at, a skill that we've learned, with really what is our strength that comes natural and easy. So easy that we can do it with closed eyes. So those are
Mm-hmm.
two options. The third option that I really prefer because it's based in science and it's really specific is the Gallup Strengths Assessment. And so these days it's called Clifton Strengths after the founder, Donald Clifton. And it's an assessment that you take that it gives you a list of here's your strengths, and it's based in 30 years of scientific research. They keep reviewing the sort of results that they get and keep doing more research. So for me, that's a really solid, again, coming back to foundation, it's a solid foundation because it gives us terminology that we can then use to explain to ourselves, to like give us understanding, and to also use to explain to others. If I need to do this thing, you're probably not going to get the best out of me because it's the strengths assessment has given us words and terminology and language to talk about this stuff. It's not fuzzy, airy fairy, sort of nebulous. It's solid words that we can explain and use to yeah to make it easy for others to understand as well how to get the best out of us.
Mm-hmm. And it's also not one of those, Facebook quizzes that you take just to, have fun and, oh, you're a mermaid, oh, you're a tree plant, whatever. No, no, this is
Yes.
serious. It's backed up by lots of research. So it's not, something that it really helps. I took it myself and you can really see yourself there. And by the way, I'm a personality test junkie, so I know a lot about different tests, good, bad, and whatever there is in the middle. And even if you've taken other assessments, taking the strengths assessment, it really gives you lots of confidence because again, you will see stuff that repeats again and again. Oh, I took this, the MBTI, many people take that, or the archetypes assessment as well. And I take this one, and every single test was saying, for example, in my case, you're an idea person. You are an idea person. With strengths, it's called ideation and strategic. And with others, it's like, oh, you are a creator. You need to be putting your energies into creating something, your own idea, get paid for your ideas. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Checking how bricks are laid in the wall is not getting paid for my ideas. So again, this is really solid because it's backed up by lots of research. It's been done for a long time. So it's something you can trust. And I agree,
Yes.
it's not easy to see ourselves. It's like being inside of the bottle and trying to read the label. It's impossible. So it's better to have somebody who's objective and ask you certain questions and gives you the feedback without, you just trying to come up with it because we don't see it. It's too close to us. We need to take a camera, we need a camera to take a photo. We cannot see our own face. So it's something similar to that.
I
So,
love that. That is a perfect explanation. We can't see ourselves because we are it all the time, and we don't have that distance. And plus, Chara, so often in life we've been programmed to think, don't boast, don't talk about your good points. Who likes somebody who boasts? All of that stuff. So we've got a lot of programming about not acknowledging what's good
true.
about us.
So true. So true. Okay, so now again, I want to make this interview series really, really real and authentic, and that requires me getting into, a big personal question. So listen, when you look back at those times in which you reinvented yourself, especially your business, what did you wish you could have done sooner? And it could be related to strengths or maybe not. Just please be as honest as you can with what was there that now looking, hindsight is like, oh, I wish I could have done that sooner because I know now that my path would have been easier, faster. So anything you can share with us?
Whew. What a great question. And the first thing that came into my mind, because it's the most difficult for me, and I wish I did it sooner, was to ask for help,
Uh-huh.
to reach out for help, because I have certain talents that want to just do things by, by myself, like responsibilities, like, okay, I'll take responsibility, I'll fix this, I'll get this right, all of that. It it's very, very hard to go through a crisis of any kind by ourselves and just be on this lonely journey with lots of stuff coming at us. So that is definitely one thing, Chara, that I wish I had done sooner in many of my um, I've had many crises, is to not walk the journey alone, to be vulnerable and open enough to ask for help, to say, listen, I'm really struggling here, and to not, keep so by myself. It's an introvert thing, it's a strength thing, all of that. But honestly, it made it so hard. So yeah, we like just learning that we're not designed to walk this journey alone. And whether it's paid help, like a coach or a therapist or a counselor or somebody like that, or just friends or family, and letting them know that you're struggling, and what, like, e- even just people want to help, they really do. And if we don't give them that chance, they can't. So that's the one thing that popped into my mind immediately. And almost I can't think, well, earlier in my life, I wish I knew my strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Truly,
Mm-hmm.
because those crises would have been easier for me. For instance, I go through things in very emotional ways, and it would have helped me earlier in my life to know that's okay because it's my way. I don't need to be strong and pretend that it's not affecting me. None of that. No, honor my emotions. I'm allowed to do that, and I should, in fact. Otherwise, I'm suppressing one of my strengths. So, yeah, asking for help, knowing my strengths definitely would have helped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. I really love it, and it's a theme that it's I hear it again and again. So asking for help, yeah, yeah, so true. And one of the things I was a little bit worried when I thought about inviting you to talk about strengths is that I was doubting, because I know many people who watch this are heart centers, solopreneurs, sensitive solopreneurs, that hearing the word strength might feel a bit like, oh, you have to toughen up and, you know, avoid being who you are. And it's not about that. It's totally the opposite. If you're sensitive, you need to embrace that and know how to manage life, how to run your business while embracing that quality. And so it's totally the opposite. So,
Yes.
do you want to give us? I think we still have for a minute, 5 minutes or so more. So, do you mind to maybe give us a little bit more of an example of how can anybody use their strengths? And you can use my strengths if you want to use me as an example of yours, whatever feels right. But just give us a little bit more practical, down to earth ideas. Ideas. That's my thing. I just want to know.
Right. Yes. What a great question, Doris. I'll do my best, and maybe I'll ask you a question so we can do an example of use.
Perfect.
An example for me is I work with sensitive people. So I've seen over the years that every single one of the sensitive people I have worked with have the talents of empathy,
Mm-hmm.
connectedness, and intellection, and then a mix of some other ones. But so it's almost like these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful qualities that are needed in the world that these sensitive people all have in common. And so, if we know that about ourselves, we can make more of it. Because in the strengths world, we say, if you know it, you can grow it. If,
Oh,
if you're
beautiful.
not aware of it, you can't make more of it. So, for instance, I know now that empathy needs the freedom to express emotion. So when there's a movie and I cry, I cry. If there's an ad that makes me sad, I cry. Connectedness needs to be in nature. It absolutely needs a connection with nature to feel connected to the rhythms in life and to see the bigger picture and so on. It's where we restore. Intellection, that's also for sensitive people, needs solitude. so that it can think deeply, because intellection needs to think and think and think things through on in deep levels. So knowing our strength gives us the ability to give them what they need so that we can be at our best, so that our strength can come out of us. So those are just maybe examples in my life. I go for my walk every day to make sure that I give myself what I need so that I can show up in a sustainable way. I've given myself, so it's basically self-care. My learner talent needs to learn new things all the time. So I've stopped blaming myself for wanting to do a new course every 2 weeks. I used to blame myself and feel bad about it. Like, why am I so flaky? You know, I want to do this, then I want to do that, then I want to do that. What's wrong with me? No, that's what is natural to me, and my brain needs it in order to be fulfilled. So what's an example for you, Chara? What are your top 5? Then we talk about that.
Oh,
Ideation,
yeah,
definitely.
they are very connected. Like input, it's the first one, I think. I have input, I have ideation, I have strategic, futuristic, and learner.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I see the perfect example of input right behind you. Input is a collector, they collect resources, and they don't always have to use the resources right now, but when somebody else needs the resources, it's available. And look at all the beautiful books there behind you. So you probably, I'm just guessing, collecting books. And by the
Yeah,
time you
this
get
is
a
just
client,
one wall. There is another wall there, and they are covered with books.
I was suspecting something like that. So when you see you have a client or a person that you need to help, you've already collected the resources and you can go to your rack and pull them out. And strategic helps you to see options. You know, you never will run out of options. Like, okay, I need to do this. How can I get there? Okay, 10 different options come up for you and you know instantly which one to take. That's the best one for now. And then circumstances might change and your strategic can go again. Oh, wait, how am I going to do it now? 10 new options plus ideation that keeps feeding you new ideas. So it's a beautiful, beautiful mix that you've got there. Very powerful to keep
Yeah,
moving forward.
yeah, thank you. And then all those things, you look at your business to even bring it, more down to earth. And it's like, okay, so should I be posting my stuff on Facebook? No, I should be creating content. I should be designing classes. I need to be learning. I need to be thinking, taking time to reflect, to journal. So again, as you said, I have plenty of journals everywhere because I just need to sit and write and process my ideas. And then they come up, as something solid that I can offer to somebody else. So look at your own strengths and ask yourself, what activities make sense for me to do? Because those are the ones that I can do best. They will first fulfill me so much, and I have goosebumps. So this is always intuition download. So what do I need to do to use my strengths, and what else I could just outsource, delegate, even ask a friend, hey, wait, can we just, exchange some work? I do this for you and you do this for me. Find ways, even if you cannot afford to pay for it, a VA or somebody else, but find ways in which you can spend more time doing those things connected, the activities connected to your strength, and design your business around those things, because they will be sustainable. You will be able to continue doing those things longer than anybody else, because it will give you energy instead of draining you. So that's the
Precisely.
practical, right? Liesel, anything you want to add to that particular,
That
implementation plan I
download.
just gave?
Yes, it was a beautiful implementation plan. I love that because, Charo, it inevitably in any business we hit snags, right? We hit places that are difficult. We're just busy creating momentum, and then something on the outside happens, circumstances change, whatever. Our family is sick, money, whatever. We need something to sustain us through those hard times. And if we're not building a business
So
on
true.
using our strengths, it's so much harder to keep going. Whereas if we have the reason to get up in the bed, like I love writing, it's like, oh, I'm going to write today. How exciting. The world can be difficult as it is right now, but I'm going to do my hour of writing and that's going to sustain me. So yes, absolutely to what you said is we need to build it in ways that's going to fulfill us, that feels joyful, that's energizing, that pulls us through the harder times too.
yeah, what gives me another idea that for those watching us can do right now. During your crisis, whatever it was, what was the one thing? It was probably just one thing that you kept doing no matter what. Look at that, because behind that, it's one of your strengths. So go back and pick
So
it up.
nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Charo.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so well, first, I wasn't going to ask you any final thoughts, but before that, if anybody wants to continue and learn more, because, well, this was just, a broad picture of what strengths are, how can they know more about that? Do you have any resources that they can go to learn more about strengths?
Yes, absolutely, Chara. I've written some blogs and I've got a nice PDF that people can maybe do a little worksheet with to discover some of their communication talent. Do they like talking? Do they not like talking? So that's one. And then there's a video that we can share. So, I mean, it's too long to read out the URL, but I'm sure you
I'll
can
put
share.
it, yeah,
Yes,
I'll put it in the
yes.
comments, yeah, below, yeah.
So yes, all of that will be shared with the people watching here, and I have many blogs about strengths on my website as well.
Yeah, so you can go and take a look at those materials that Liesel is referring to. You don't need to opt in or anything. It will be there for you just to take a look and decide if you want to go deeper. So it's very generous. Thank you, Liesel. Very generous of you.
Yes.
Okay, so to wrap up, any final thoughts that you might have about reinvention or strengths or whatever download intuition you get about it? I'm open to any of
Right.
those.
Yeah. I want to just maybe give some encouragement, as I know reinvention and crisis and rebuilding after a crisis can be really hard. And there is always a way through. It may not look like it in the moment, and we don't see the whole staircase when we start. We just have to see the first step. And if you take that one step, the next step will be revealed. You don't have to see to the end of the staircase before you start. So just take one step at a time. And then the other thing is take that one step in the direction of your strengths so that you make a sustainable way for yourself forward.
Wonderful, wonderful, Liesel. Thank you so much. Well, if you want to say the name of your website now, because you will say it without me making mistakes. And again, I'll make sure that it's included, but it's okay for somebody who's maybe just listening to the audio and cannot check the comments in the moment. Please give us your URL.
Thanks, Charo. It's savvyselfgrowth.com. savvyselfgrowth.com.
Okay, thank you so much, Liesel. Well, this is all for today. I hope you really got really practical ideas that you can start putting now into your business to help you rebuild whatever it is you are bringing into this world. And I really hope it was useful. Please feel free to leave any comments, any questions, wherever you find this video, because it will be all over the place. Or you can email us and we'll give you some feedback or send you some more resources about this topic. So thank you so much for watching. This is Charo from Tap In Your Purpose. If you don't want to miss any of those interviews, you can go to tapinyourpurpose.com/thriving. And you'll find all the information about this interview series. Thank you so much, and until next time, bye.